Cynthia Bernard had survived many storms in her 32 years, but tonight, she believed she had finally reached a calm shore. The dining room glowed with warm candlelight, glasses clinked, her father's booming laugh echoed through the house, and her mother fussed over the roasted chicken like nothing dark had ever lived between them. For once, Cynthia let herself breathe. It wasn't joy exactly, but it was close. She hadn't seen the family this unified since her mother's surgery 2 years ago, before the money arguments, before the accusations, before the distance. Tonight was supposed to mark a new beginning, a family celebration, a small reunion. Her father insisted on hosting, said he missed her, said he wanted things to be like they were. So she came. Her brother Marcus sat diagonally across from her, stabbing at his mashed potatoes like they owed him something. He barely made eye contact. But what else was new? He had always looked at her the way a starving dog looks at a steak, like she owned something that should have been his. Still, Cynthia tried to keep the peace. She smiled, she laughed in the right places, she asked about his job, even though she knew he'd been fired months ago. Her brother's life was a revolving door of excuses, all cushioned by their father's money. Money that Cynthia never asked for. Money she worked her entire adult life to avoid needing. Her father poured himself another drink and raised his cup. To family, he said. Cynthia lifted her glass. Maybe this time things will be different, she thought. But the quiet before a storm always feels like hope. Halfway through dinner, her father leaned forward. His gaze sharpened. His voice dropped. So Cynthia, he said slowly, what did you do with the money? She blinked. What money? He laughed, but there was no humor. The $300,000 I gave you. For a moment time stopped. The room grew colder. The candles flickered. Her mother's fork clattered onto her plate. Marcus's hand froze. In midair, Cynthia's heart slammed against her ribs. Dad, I don't know what you're talking about. Across the table, Marcus went pale, so visibly that even her mother gasped. Her father leaned closer, the amusement gone. I transferred it to your account 3 weeks ago. The entire inheritance portion. The part of your mother's property settlement. $300,000. And I received a notification that it was withdrawn. Immediately. Withdrawn. Her stomach turned. Dad, I swear, I never received any transfer. I never touched that money. Her father's glare sharpened. So where is it, Cynthia? Marcus swallowed hard. His breathing quickened. His fingers trembled around his fork. Her father caught it. Marcus, he snapped. And Marcus flinched so hard the table shook. In Cynthia's mind, the sky cracked open. Something was wrong. Terribly, irreversibly wrong. Before she could speak, her father's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, and for the first time that night he went pale. They're here, he whispered. Who? Cynthia asked. Knock. 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 Heavy fists. Authority in the rhythm. Her mother gasped, clutching her chest. Her father stood abruptly. Marcus dropped his fork, eyes wild with panic. When her father opened the door, 2 uniformed officers stepped in. Cynthia Bernard? The taller one asked. Her breath caught. Yes. You're under investigation for the possible theft of $300,000. We need you to come with us for questioning. The room spiraled. Cynthia looked at her family and understood in one chilling heartbeat that tonight wasn't about reconciliation. It was an ambush. The police station smelled like old coffee, wet paper, and hopelessness. Cynthia sat in a cold metal chair, hands clasped so tight her knuckles blanched. Her heart hammered against her ribs hard enough to bruise. Every breath came in shards. What would you have done in her place? She replayed the dinner scene again and again in her mind, the words stinging like fresh cuts. What did you do with the money? The money she'd never seen. The money she was now being accused of stealing. Her father had looked at her like she was a stranger. No worse, like she was a disappointment he had finally confirmed. Marcus had stared at his plate, refusing to lift his eyes. Her mother had sobbed into her napkin. And Cynthia. She'd sat there wishing the floor would open and swallow her whole. A detective walked in carrying a thin manila folder. He didn't introduce himself. He simply sat across from her and opened it. Miss Bernard, the transfer was made from your father's account to yours on the 5th. Your account shows a full withdrawal the same day. At 4:16 p.m. I wasn't even near a bank that day, she whispered. We have camera footage from the ATM. Her breath hitched. Then show me. He slid a still image across the table. Her blood turned to ice. It was her. Or someone who looked exactly like her. Same build, same hairstyle, same clothes she owned. A fake version of her, withdrawing $300,000. No, she said, voice cracking. That's not me. It certainly looks like you. It's not me. Her voice rose, sharp with desperation. Someone stole my identity. He leaned back, unimpressed. Then who? Who would know your PIN, your habits, your access? Someone close to you. Her breath died in her throat. Marcus. Her brother. The one who had flinched tonight the second the money was mentioned. The one who always needed money. The one who always resented her. But she had no proof. Tears built behind her eyes, but she blinked them back. Crying was weakness. Crying meant guilt. And she was innocent. Detective, she said, steadying her voice. I didn't do this. Someone set me up. He watched her in silence for too long, then finally stood. You're free to go for now, he said. But don't leave town. Free. The moment she stepped into the cold night, her father was there. His face a mask of disappointment. How could you? He whispered. The blow landed harder than any police accusation. Dad, listen to me. No. I'm done listening to your excuses. She reached for him. I didn't. He stepped back. Rejection sliced deeper than accusation. Until you return the money, he said. You are not welcome in this family. Marcus lingered behind him, sweating, trembling, avoiding her eyes. She saw it then, the fear. Not of losing her, but of being caught. And in that moment, something inside Cynthia cracked open. Not fear. Not pain. Something darker. A seed of vengeance rooted itself deep in her chest. And it whispered, if they want a villain, I will show them one. The next week crawled by like a fever dream. Cynthia returned to her small apartment, where silence screamed louder than any accusation. She couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat. Couldn't think of anything except the betrayal. The way Marcus had looked at her with that pale face. That twitch in his jaw. That tremor in his hand. He knew. He knew. And he let her take the fall. She sat on the floor surrounded by bank statements, printed screenshots, timestamps, old emails. Anything that could give her a clue. The photos of ATM footage haunted her. The fake Cynthia wore her jacket. Her hairstyle. Even her bracelet. But Cynthia noticed something. A limp. A very slight limp in the left leg. Her heart stuttered. Marcus had sprained his ankle 3 weeks ago. Coincidence? No. She replayed the footage again and again until she could hear nothing but the thumping of her own pulse. He did this. Her own brother. Her mind spiraled into darker places. Memories resurfacing of every slight, every insult, every time Marcus blamed her for his failures. Their father always swooping in to defend him, always giving him money, always forgiving. And Cynthia? She was the strong one. The dependable one. The one who didn't need help. So when the money disappeared, who better to blame? Because you know I won't fight back, she whispered. The words tasted like blood. Her phone buzzed. Her father. Dad, return what you stole. Dad. If you confess, I won't press charges. Dad. I raised you better than this. A sob tore from her throat. He really believed she was capable of stealing from him. Of betraying him. All her years of loyalty, of supporting him after his diabetes diagnosis, of helping him during his recovery, all forgotten. Replaced by suspicion. Fueled by Marcus. Her brother had not just taken her money. He had taken her family. Her life. Her identity. The descent didn't happen in a scream. It happened in silence. A cold, methodical silence. The kind that comes right before a storm destroys everything in its path. She opened her laptop and created a new folder. Operation Lazarus. Because she wasn't just going to prove her innocence. She was going to resurrect the truth. And bury the lies. Her first step was gathering evidence. She tracked Marcus's recent spending. New purchases appeared on his social media. A watch he could never afford. A hotel stay he never mentioned. A sudden trip to Atlantic City. She dug through old email drafts. She checked IP addresses. She cross-referenced the ATM location with traffic cameras. A pattern emerged. Marcus had been planning this for months. She stared at her reflection in the dark laptop screen. "You took everything from me," she whispered. Promise formed. "I'll take everything from you." Vengeance requires patience, precision, and quiet footsteps. And Cynthia had never moved more quietly in her life. She started small. Observing. Tracking. Learning Marcus's routine, where he went, who he talked to, where he kept his secrets. He wasn't smart. He believed he'd gotten away with it. He walked around with a smugness that made her teeth clench. But arrogance is always the first weakness. Every weekday morning, he stopped at a boutique cafe where he flirted with the barista. Cynthia sat 2 tables behind him, hidden behind sunglasses and a baseball cap. He bragged to anyone who'd listen about opportunities, projects, investments, all vague, all lies. She recorded everything. One afternoon, she followed him to a storage facility. He punched in a code and disappeared inside. She waited. When he left 20 minutes later, he looked nervous, kept glancing over his shoulder. What was he hiding? Next morning she returned, picked the lock, entered. Her breath caught. Inside were luxurious shopping bags, casino chips, expensive electronics, and a shoebox labeled CB. Her initials. Her stomach twisted. Inside the box was a wig that matched her hair, makeup to mimic her features, and her old jacket stolen months ago, but she thought she'd misplaced it. Evidence. Proof. A weapon. Her pulse pounded. Marcus had built an entire version of her, a counterfeit Cynthia, to execute the theft. She photographed everything. Then she noticed a sealed envelope beneath the jacket. She opened it. Her father's financial documents. Copies of the transfer details. Marcus had been planning not just to steal the money. He had been planning to frame her the entire time. A cold fury swept through her veins. Next step. Confrontation by proximity. She started texting Marcus, pretending everything was fine. Invited him to lunch. Asked how he was. He responded casually, unaware she was inches from exposing him. Her father, meanwhile, grew more hostile. His texts shifted from accusations to threats. He said the police were reopening the case. He said he was ashamed to call her his daughter. But Cynthia didn't flinch anymore. She had a new backbone, evidence. And a new purpose, retribution. She confronted Marcus indirectly first. She left anonymous messages in his mailbox. "I know what you did. Return the money before she does." Truth always crawls back to the surface. He began to unravel. He stopped sleeping. He snapped at coworkers. He bought new locks for his apartment. He looked over his shoulder constantly. The paranoia pleased her. It was poetic. Because now, he was the one who couldn't breathe. It was during a midnight review of her digital evidence that Cynthia stumbled upon something she hadn't expected. A bank alert. From her father's secondary account. An account she didn't know existed. The alert said, attempted withdrawal flagged. Unauthorized access. The IP address? Marcus's apartment. She froze. Why would Marcus try to access their father's other account? He wasn't after $300,000. He was after everything. A second inheritance. One far larger. The family dinner hadn't been the plan. It had been the backup plan. The one Marcus activated when he failed to drain their father's hidden account. Cynthia felt sick. He hadn't just framed her. He hadn't just stolen $300,000. He had attempted to rob their father blind. And when it didn't work, he pivoted, blaming her, knowing she was the logical suspect. Her shaking fingers hovered over the keyboard. Her world shifted again. This wasn't about sibling rivalry, or jealousy, or greed. It was about power. Marcus wanted to take everything their father had, money, property, influence. And he needed Cynthia gone, disgraced, cut out of the will, smeared beyond redemption. He almost succeeded. Almost. A sharp, bitter laugh escaped her. "Oh, Marcus," she whispered. "You planned a masterpiece. Too bad you left fingerprints." She gathered everything. ATM impersonation footage. Storage unit evidence. Stolen clothing. Bank IP tracing. Failed second theft. Timestamps. forged documents, Marcus's recent purchases, and several audio recordings of him bragging indirectly. The truth was bigger, darker, and more calculated than she ever imagined. But Cynthia knew one thing. She couldn't simply expose him. She needed her father to see the truth, to feel it, to confront it, because if she walked into their home with accusations now, he would choose Marcus, just like he always had. She needed certainty, irrefutable evidence, and she needed to place it where it would cut the deepest. Then she remembered. Their father's birthday dinner was in 2 days. Everyone would be there. Perfect. 2 days before the dinner, someone knocked on Cynthia's apartment door. Hard. Urgent. She opened it cautiously. Detective Molina stood there. The same detective who had interrogated her. But tonight he looked different. Softer. "I need to talk to you," he said. "I already told you everything. You need to hear this." He stepped inside before she could argue. She folded her arms, guarded. He pulled out a flash drive. This showed up anonymously at the station today. He plugged it into her laptop. The file opened. It was a recording. Marcus's voice. Talking to someone on the phone. "She'll take the fall. Always does. Dad will believe anything against her. He won't even question it. Once the money clears, I'm out. I don't care what happens to her. Yeah, if she gets arrested, that's her problem. She should have been smarter." Cynthia's throat tightened. Detective Molina watched her carefully. "Miss Bernard," he said gently, "you weren't wrong." She sank back onto the couch, tears burning her eyes. "Why are you helping me?" He hesitated. "Because my own sister framed me once. Cost me 3 years of my life. Almost my career. When I saw how the evidence pointed at you too cleanly, I knew something was off." A strange warmth blossomed in her chest. Empathy. Recognition. A shared wound. He sat beside her. "Let me help you finish this." "Finish?" He nodded. "You want justice. I want truth. Our goals align." For the first time since this nightmare began, Cynthia felt a flicker of hope. Not revenge. Not rage. Hope. Together they crafted a plan, meticulous, airtight, devastating. Detective Molina would attend the birthday dinner undercover, disguised as security hired for the event. He would record everything. He would wait until the right moment, until Marcus's fear cracked open the truth. Cynthia would confront her father with evidence. But Marcus would incriminate himself. And they would catch it all. As they worked side by side, Cynthia felt something unexpected forming. Trust. Dangerous, fragile trust. The kind that felt like a lifeline. The kind that reminded her she wasn't alone. But vengeance exacts its own price. And sometimes that price is your own soul. The night before the birthday dinner, Cynthia made a mistake. A dangerous human mistake. She went to her father's house. She needed desperately to see him. To talk to him. To show him the beginnings of her evidence. To test the waters. To hear even a sliver of the father she once trusted. But instead, he broke her. When she walked in, he didn't greet her. He didn't hug her. He didn't look relieved. He said one sentence. "Unless you're here to confess, get out." The door slammed behind her with a finality that echoed through her bones. She stumbled into the driveway, breathless, shaking. Her father wasn't waiting for the truth. Her father wasn't waiting for justice. Her father wanted her to be guilty. It made everything easier for him. And that was when the rage, the true rage, returned. Not the cold, calculating kind. The feral kind. The kind that blinds. That night, she went to Marcus's apartment. She watched him through the window, laughing on the phone, drinking expensive whiskey paid for with stolen money. A darkness whispered, "End him. Right here." She imagined breaking the window, confronting him, screaming, destroying everything in his home the way he destroyed everything in hers. But in that moment of violent impulse, her phone buzzed. "Detective Molina. Don't do anything reckless. You're close. Don't become him." The message hit like cold water. She stared at Marcus one last time, then turned away. But the truth remained. Tonight she had almost crossed the line, and that terrified her. The birthday dinner was a theater of masks. Their father sat at the head of the table. Their mother beside him. Marcus looking smug in his overpriced shirt. Cousins, uncles, old friends filled the room. Cynthia walked in dressed in black, symbolic, sharp, controlled. Marcus stiffened. She sat opposite him. Detective Molina stood quietly near the bar, disguised as security. When dessert was served, Cynthia rose to her feet. I have something to say. The room went silent. Her father rolled his eyes. Not tonight. Sit down. No. The word carried weight. She placed a folder on the table and opened it. Inside, photos of the storage unit. TAM footage. The wig. Timestamps. Bank login attempts. Forged documents. Audio recordings. Receipts. And the flash drive transcript. Marcus swallowed hard. His skin went gray. What is this? Her father demanded. This, Cynthia said softly, is the truth you refuse to see. Marcus stood abruptly. She's lying. Detective Molina stepped forward. Sit down, Marcus. Gasps. Her father's jaw dropped. Why is a detective here? Cynthia pressed play on the recording. Marcus's voice filled the room. Every lie. Every confession. Every betrayal. Her mother covered her mouth. Their father turned ghost white. Marcus lunged for her. But Molina blocked him instantly. Cynthia looked at her father. Dad, you accused me without asking a single question. You believed the worst. Without hesitation. Her father's lips trembled. I didn't know. You didn't want to know. Marcus screamed. She deserved it. She always got everything. Dad always loved her more. Cynthia stepped closer. No, Marcus. You didn't steal because of love. You stole because you wanted to see me suffer. Silence. Then, Detective Molina cuffed him. For fraud, identity theft, and attempted grand theft. Marcus thrashed as they dragged him out. But Cynthia didn't watch. She turned to her father. And saw regret drown him. The house emptied slowly. Guests whispered. Her mother cried quietly. Her father sat slumped in his chair, the weight of his mistakes bending his spine. Cynthia stood in the doorway, unsure whether to stay or leave. Her father finally spoke. Cynthia. I'm sorry. The words were fragile. Weak. Too late. Why didn't you believe me? She asked. He looked up, eyes red. Because believing Marcus was easier. A hollow ache spread through her chest. Do you love me? She asked. He flinched at the question. Of course. Then why was I the villain so quickly? He broke. Tears streamed down his face. I failed you. Cynthia exhaled slowly. For the first time since the nightmare began, her heart felt lighter. Not healed, but free. She reached into her purse and placed the last piece of evidence on the table. A small photograph. Her and Marcus at age 9 smiling, arms linked, before jealousy carved them apart. I'm done fighting for this family, she said softly. I'm choosing myself now. Her father sobbed. Will you ever forgive me? She paused, then shook her head. Not today. She walked out of the house into the cool night air. Detective Molina waited near his car, leaning casually, eyes warm. You did it, he said. No, she whispered. I survived it. He smiled faintly. So what now? Cynthia looked up at the sky, the same sky that watched her break, descend, rise, and reclaim herself. Now, she said. I start over. He opened the car door for her. As she stepped inside, she realized something. Revenge hadn't saved her. Truth had. And in the quiet aftermath, she finally understood the cost of standing up for herself. But she also understood the reward. Her life was hers again. Thanks for watching my story to end. Please subscribe for more exclusive revenge stories.